Some people only like the old version of you because you make them feel better about themselves. Let's go ahead and talk about it. For those of you guys who are new to the channel, hello, my name is Jasmine, and I'm so glad to have you. Listen, the truth is, people like the old version of you because you make them feel better about themselves. I think people compare themselves, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. We're all sitting around comparing ourselves, right? It can get toxic, but you're just trying to gauge where you are in life versus what your peers are doing, right? So if your peers are out buying a house, you might feel as equally successful if you're buying a house too. If your peers are getting married and having children, you might feel on the same playing field if you're getting married and having children too. Not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that we do compare ourselves to other people and we kind of gauge where we should be at in certain parts of our life just based off of the environment that we're around. That's why people will say your environment dictates your life. So if you're around people who are doing successful things, you will do successful things because you're gauging what you're doing based on what other people are doing. If, people are not doing successful things, if people are sitting around wasting their life and you're around them, well, then you might feel a little bit better about yourself because at least you have a job or at least you have a car, right? We're all sitting around comparing ourselves in some way, shape, or form. The minute you decide to change, the minute you decide to do something a little bit different to improve yourself, well, then that's when people will have a problem with it if they're not doing that too, because now you're making them feel bad about themselves, okay? Maybe you're in a friend group and all of your friends are obese or overweight. Birds of a feather flock together, by the way. The apple does not fall too far from the tree. Maybe your friend group, all of you guys could lose a couple pounds or a lot of pounds, I don't know. And you decide to lose some weight. You're like, you know what? I'm sick of being overweight. I'm sick of being obese. I want to lock in on my health this year. I want to move more, eat less, and I want to get to a healthy weight. Okay, that's great. Good for you. I'm glad you decided to do that. But your friends aren't on that type of time. Well, of course they're going to no longer be happy with this new version of you that's going to the gym, who's eating her fruits and vegetables, who's, walking. Why would they be happy with that? Because now you're making them feel bad about themselves because now they got to look at you and see the decisions that you're making every single day to improve your life, to elevate your life. And they're not making those decisions. So now it makes them feel bad about themselves. They're still at Popeyes. They're still at McDonald's. They're still sitting on the couch all day. They're still making excuses for why they're overweight. And that's why they have a problem with you. Because now you're the mirror of what they could be, but what they're choosing not to be. It's uncomfortable. And most people don't like discomfort. Most people want to be in a state of comfort. That's why people will choose the path of least resistance. People will always choose the easier route because it's not uncomfortable. But seeing you is a daily reminder of what they could be doing, but what they're not doing. And instead of seeing you and using you as motivation and inspiration to change, they'll kind of put up a wall, right? They'll start to become more defensive. They might say slick shit like, everybody can't be you or must be nice, right? And again, it's not anything wrong with what you're doing. It's them projecting how they feel about themselves onto you. And that's normal. When you start to elevate, when you start to improve yourself, right, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. I don't think we should be staying stagnant. I think we should all wake up every single day just trying to do something a little bit different than we did yesterday, slowly but surely getting us to where we want to be in life, right? There's nothing wrong with that. That's called self-development. But a lot of people don't wake up like that. A lot of people, as soon as they get up, they're scrolling on their phone, right? They're on Instagram, they're on TikTok, they're on Facebook. That's the first thing that people do when they wake up in the morning. And I used to be like that too. You don't do that anymore. Now when you wake up, you're figuring out what you're going to do for the day. You're comparing the decisions that you made yesterday to the version that you want to become, and you're trying to decide, okay, today I'm going to do this. I'm going to create new habits. I'm going to create new routines because I want to be a new person. That's great. But again, people have a problem with that because the old version of you made them feel better about who they were. When they compared who you were to them back, in the past, they might have felt like they were above you. Maybe you didn't have a car, they had a car. Maybe you had a minimum wage paying job, they had a good job. Maybe you were struggling to get into a relationship, they were married. So they always felt like they were a little bit above you. They felt like they were a little bit ahead of you, right? Well, maybe you were the friend in the friend group that was bigger than the other friends. So they felt, even though they're obese or overweight too, they still felt a little bit better than you because you're bigger than them. Well, now here you are changing, right? You're getting better, you're losing your weight, you're starting your business, whatever it is you're doing. Well, now when they look at you, they feel like you're ahead of them. That makes them uncomfortable. And instead of them changing, and like I said, using you as motivation and inspiration, they don't like it. It makes them uncomfortable. It makes them feel less than. And no one wants to walk around feeling less than. I don't want to walk around feeling less than either. Nobody wants to feel like they're less than. That nobody does, okay? Nobody does. But the healthy approach would be to use it as motivation and inspiration to change, to see where they could be, right? But that's not what they're doing. They're making you feel bad for choosing better, for wanting better, for doing better. And so then you have to ask yourself, because listen, you can't change people. That's one thing you cannot do. You can change yourself, but you cannot change people. So now you have to ask yourself, what are you going to do with this information? You've made changes in your life. You're getting the results that you've wanted. You see how people are treating you. So what are you going to do about it? Are you going to tolerate it? Or are you just going to find new friends? Let me tell you, you cannot change people into doing what you're doing. They have to want that for themselves. You can suggest, you can make a recommendation, but at the end of the day, they have to want to change for themselves. And if they don't want that right now or ever, there's nothing that you can do. You cannot pull people along with you. If anything, they will pull you back. It takes way too much energy that you could be using for yourself to propel yourself forward to try to change people. I stopped trying to change people a long time ago because it's not going to work. You're going to get pushback. You might get names called at you. You might get attitude. And that's fine because you really shouldn't be trying to change people in the first place. So then you just have to find a new circle of friends. You just have to find people who are on the same type of time as you. If you are the friend in the friend group who's losing weight, you can tell your friends, oh yeah, I started eating this or I started doing this, right? And if they don't want to receive it and change it, and they don't have to change, by the way. If they are happy with where they're at, let them be. It's not your job to change people, right? Let them be. It only becomes a problem if they start making you feel bad, if they start saying things or, when the energy starts to shift. That's when it's a matter of, okay, what are you going to do with this? Are you going to continue to tolerate it or are you just going to change your circle, right? And the healthy thing would be to change your circle, not try to just tolerate it, because it's just going to get worse and worse and worse, and it's going to hold you back. But that's why people like the old version of you, because the old version of you, when they compared you amongst themselves, they felt a little bit superior or a lot superior than you. They felt like they were doing just enough because they were still ahead of you. But now that they're no longer ahead of you, they have a problem with it. One thing I've learned is when the energy starts to feel off, and I used to give people the benefit of the doubt a lot. Like, oh, they didn't mean it like that, or maybe they're just having a bad day, right? Deep down inside, you know. You may not want to admit it to yourself, but you know the energy's off. You can feel it. Your intuition is there for a reason. And one thing I used to do, like I said, I would just give people the benefit of the doubt, or I would say things to myself like, oh, I'm just overthinking. I'm being a little dramatic. No, you're really not. You're really not. And the longer you hold on to those dynamics that aren't making you feel good about the decisions that you're making to change your life, the longer you hold yourself back. Because I believe in order to manifest anything, whatever goals you have, in order to manifest it, you have to feel good about yourself. It's extremely difficult, damn near impossible, to feel good about yourself if you're around people who are making you feel bad about yourself, who are making you feel guilty for changing your habits and your routines that is bettering you. So if you're around a friend group and they're talking junk to you, or they're making you feel like you're stupid because you want to lose weight, or you want to have a new schedule, like whatever it is you're trying to do, well, then ask yourself, how are they making me feel in this moment? And how do I feel when I'm not around them? If you feel better when you're not around them, that's all the answer that you need. That is your answer. That means that that friendship group of yours, you've outgrown it. So why are you trying to stay somewhere that you've outgrown? Why are you trying to force yourself into something that you no longer fit into? It's time to distance yourself. And it doesn't mean that they're bad people. It doesn't mean that it's wrong of you to change your friend group. It just means that you've outgrown that. You're no longer aligned. Y'all's paths are just different. They're going one way, you're going another way, and it just is what it is. But if you try to force yourself into something that just no longer fits, you're holding yourself back, because you can't feel good when you're around people who make you feel bad. So that's why they prefer the old version of you. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's what's going on. So the question is, what are you going to do about it? Leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. I can't wait to read what you guys have to say. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And do not forget to join the Patreon. The link is down below in my description. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.